It's 5 o'clock, and we will now begin the workshop for September the 29th, 2011. I do want to remind everyone this is being viewed live tonight for our very first time. This is a practice run, so please be patient. If we might have some technical difficulties, they are working on those. The regular meeting will be Tuesday, October the 4th, beginning at 6:30. Tonight, I will remind everyone there will be absolutely no votes taken tonight. We're simply discussing the items that will be voted on Tuesday, October the 4th. All right. We'll start off. Alderman Green. Prayer will be by myself Tuesday night, and pledge will be by Alderman Green. Please review the minutes for September the 6th. Also, in our department reports, we're happy to welcome Laverne Rescue, who will be start giving us reports on monthly meetings. So welcome. Thank you for being here. We do have a presentation from United Way. They are running a bit behind at another meeting, so as soon as they get here, we will maybe skip line and let them come in and speak. We will begin right now with number 4, which is second reading, ordinance 2011-21, an ordinance granting gas franchise to Piedmont Natural Gas Company, Incorporated. All right, do I have any comments, concerns, any extra information, Mr. Mayor, that we may need to be told or anything?
Nothing has changed since the last reading, ma'am, and they're still actively involved in presenting the opportunity to have a franchise.
If y'all have any questions, please direct those toward Mr. Mayor.
There is a public hearing on this Tuesday night at 6:30.
Okay. On the first, on all of them, will there be a public hearing on all of those?
On items 4, 5, and 10.
Okay. All right. And I'll be sure and mention those. Again, there will be a public hearing for ordinance 2011-21, the ordinance granting a gas franchise to Piedmont Natural Gas Company. Okay, is everybody pretty comfortable with this one? All right. Moving right along to number 5, which is second reading, ordinance 2011-22, an ordinance to amend the 2010-2011 fiscal year general fund budget. Okay, Ms. Phyllis, you want to make sure everyone understands what we're doing here?
Yes, on this budget amendment, this is just to include in our prior year's budget the funds that we received on a THDA grant, and also the expenses for that grant. Okay. They were not included in the original budget when we did the 10-11 budget, and therefore we have to do some house cleaning and include it in the final budget amendment.
Does everybody understand that? Any questions, comments, concerns? That also will be on the public hearing. All right. Number 6, second reading, ordinance 2011-23, an ordinance to establish a property tax relief program to benefit the elderly, low-income taxpayers, totally and permanently disabled taxpayers, and disabled veteran taxpayers. This will be the second reading on that.
Mayor, on this one, if we could make an extra effort somehow to put criteria out there. I know we're going to go with the same criteria as the county and the state, and also where the elderly can sign up at. I've been asked this question several times in the last month, so if we can really make an extra effort to get it out there, whether
Ms. Evie Rutledge, our director over the tax department here, she receives this information, and to my understanding, I do not believe she has received that as of yet. But when she receives this information, we will make sure that we can get it on the websites, any Facebook, whatever we can get it on. Also, she's planning on going to the senior citizens and disseminate that information there as well.
I thought maybe even the water bill or something we could put
We
it out
can
there.
certainly do that. Absolutely. Also, I want to remind everybody, when this happens, the city is not the one that makes those decisions. It is all done through the state. We simply help get the information, gather it, and get it to the appropriate people, but we have absolutely nothing to do with who's accepted and who's not accepted. It's strictly all done through the state, so we need to make sure that's very clear as well. We're simply offering the service. Okay. Any more questions? And we don't have to have a public hearing on this one? Okay. All right. Number 7, this is second reading, ordinance 2011-24, an ordinance to amend Title 14, Chapter 3 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding grading, soil erosion, and sedimentation control. A favorable recommendation was made by the Stormwater Appeals and Advisory Board on August the 18th, 2011. Again, this is some cleanup on our ordinances. Where's Miss Katie? There you are.
Mayor, Board, as I stated last month, this is basically just bringing this ordinance into compliance with the current state regulations. So it does not add any extra cost to developers. They will already have those regulations put in place by the state of Tennessee. Our regulations just have to match theirs. Does anybody have any questions on that one?
We might as well stay there because you have the next one
Yep.
as well. Second reading, ordinance 2011-25, an ordinance to amend Title 14, Chapter 6 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding stormwater management. A favorable recommendation was made by the Stormwater Appeals and Advisory Board on August the 18th, 2011.
This is the same situation, just trying to make ours match state regulations, and also just a little bit of cleanup between the two ordinances because there was a little bit of conflicting language. That's
Any questions? All right. That was easy. Thank
Yep.
you. Okay. Number 9. Second reading, ordinance 2011-26, an ordinance to amend the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the removal of board and committee members. And I know we've discussed this, but I want to reiterate the fact that only suggestions may be made by the chairman of each board, but the removal comes from this board. So we need to make sure we understand that.
It's at the request of the chairman and the department head that is responsible for that. board
Exactly.
committee. Yes, ma'am.
So does everybody understand that one? So they cannot just be removed by a department head or a chairman of that committee. So there would be much thought and discussion before that would transpire. And I think mainly where we're having a lot of trouble with this is people not attending meetings. And so we've got to make sure that we have people on these boards that can attend. You know, 1 or 2 meetings, yes, things happen, but when you have several months going and people are not showing up, that I feel that does become a problem. So, and these chairmen will know who's there and who's not there. Okay, do we have any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay. Number 10, second reading, ordinance 2011-27, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital plan and the fiscal year 2011 and 12 water and sewer fund budget to add the Assistant Public Works Director position. Okay, this is the second reading. There will be a public hearing on this one. Here is my concerns. I do think we need, especially with the Waldron Road project, we need someone that can get out there, can kind of help Kyle with that situation, with the water and all that going in. I think we're going to have to make some adjustments into some of the sewers out in there. Of course, Greg, you pretty much got your hands full as well in your department. But what I would consider about this, if we can, even if we pass it for this budget year, that we put it off until maybe after the first of the year. I mean, I'm opening this up for discussion, and Mr. Gaston, if you'd like to step up, Steve, if you'd like to, speak on this matter as well.
I'll wait for Mr. Gaston.
Okay.
Sure. We had petitioned the council, and I understand the need to delay even until January, et cetera, and certainly that would be helpful versus what we already have it planned. We talked specifically about Waldron Road. We talked about a lot of the water and sewer projects that are coming our way. We talked about some of the current needs and things that change that we have continued to have there. And we think that it's critical for the city that we're able to take a proactive approach. And certainly if we had that in January, February versus 2013 or 14, that would be very helpful. It's just a period of a few months.
Yes, ma'am. And as a reminder, this position was already budgeted for the year following.
Right,
We're just moving
right.
it up a year to take advantage of some of the circumstances we have facing the city in terms of expansion of our water and sewer systems and the Waldron Road project. We need some additional oversight and guidance, as you pointed out.
And we've also got some pump stations. It's getting ready to have some major work.
Yes, ma'am.
Major work. And we're talking about very costly work.
So we would really
McFarland
appreciate the
Point
support,
can
the
be
support of the
very
board on this.
specific, yeah.
Certainly understand y'all side of it, but how about Mr. Skinner, with your just being here, what's your thoughts after being here a couple of weeks as far as?
To be honest with you, I'm still sizing the size of many of these projects in terms of labor requirement for myself and my staffs. So I'm not completely sold on the idea as of now, but as I learn more at light speed here in the days and weeks going forward, this is going to make a lot more sense to us to revisit in a few months.
And I think that makes a very good point from what you said. Just because we say we vote does not say that if you decide, hey, I think I'm going to be good for another year or so, that we're just going to do it anyway. Because like you said, he's just been here a couple of weeks and trying to size up the situation. But this is just opening doors. Should he get in there, these projects starting to come together, and you say, whoa, I think I need this. It's there for him. It's not saying it's absolute, in concrete, it's going to happen.
So are we going to vote on it and then sit on it until we're ready to do it, or are we going to defer it for a couple months? Or
We can do one of two ways. We can, and we can vote on it with the understanding that it absolutely will not go in place with contingent upon our Public Works Director and City Administrator.
Oh, of course, ma'am. It would be a best business practice decision at the time.
Yes.
We're just asking permission to be able to do that, should the needs of the city require it.
Absolutely.
And it allows us an understanding the need to wait until 2012. Certainly we understand that. My concern is that we've already seen, even with Waldron Road alone, some of the challenges that we have to face. Certainly we didn't talk about tonight, but talked about in the workshop, safety component of it, and there's a need for it. But your vote to approve it would allow us to do it if the city administrator and if the public works director said, okay, we need to push the button, and certainly we would work within the guidelines you set up for us.
It does. I mean, I guess, to me, then that would almost be a deferral, or basically giving him a month or so or what are we saying here? I guess what I'm trying to figure out, are we going to actually vote and have it sit out there until he's ready, or are we going to give him a month to kind of survey his,
It would
what's the
be
thoughts?
on Tuesday night, whatever this board would decide at that time. I mean,
Okay.
you see what I'm saying?
I do,
You
I do.
can make a motion to defer it,
Sure. I
or a
understand.
motion can be made to approve it, or obviously a motion could be made to deny it.
I got you.
So,
And since I've been instructed to be on my best behavior because we're recording, I would ask the board to vote in favor of this motion so that we have that opportunity. I just want to leave you with that to at least allow the Public Works Director and the City Administrator to get together and make that decision without having to come back and go through the processes again and further delay us.
Sure.
but any more questions? So everybody understands you can do one of three things on Tuesday night. Okey-doke. All right, number 11. Motion to approve bid for the warning system. Okay, who wants to start with this one? Mr. Mayor, you want to start with this?
Well, we did have some interesting communication back from the court, and I'd ask Evan if you could explain that.
Sure. You mean with regard to the restocking?
Restocking fee, yes.
Yeah. Well, we had some interaction with McCord Communication about, I guess, a threatened fee that they had threatened to charge the city, and we were able to, at least to my satisfaction at this point, we were able to have McCord agree that they were not going to charge the city any fee, any restocking fee. So hopefully that issue's been resolved.
Okay.
Additionally, we're given instruction to get a better idea about cost of financing the project, and we sent out a dozen requests for bids of potential amounts for financing for this project, should it be approved. So far, 4 of those bids have come back, or 4 of those statements have come back saying what the various kind of finance companies might want to charge to finance. One was fairly low, one was kind of high, and the other 2 are in the middle. But we still have 8 to come yet. And so to give a proper picture of all the options that are available from the board, we'd like to wait until the rest of the bids come in. We can line them up, check the validity, and present to the board a more complete set of information to make a decision.
So it'd be a good idea to burn this.
I believe so. Because we want you guys to have the best possible information, and right now it's not complete.
No, I think it's a little confusing, really. Real confusing. We've been given several different scenarios here, and I'm not comfortable with any of them at this point. So, do you have any other comments or suggestions on this matter?
I'm not certain what we'll have to do if we decide to, we've had 2 votes, I believe, for this system. Will we have to go back and rescind our vote if we decided to do something different? If we modified it as far as something different, would that be something we would have to do? I believe in May and June, we voted.
But that was considered a sole source. So does that make that automatically null and void?
I think to be cleanest as you can be, I think you would need to go back and vote to rescind it or reject it,
Okay.
cancel it, and then deciding whatever you want to do going forward.
Should we do that anyway Tuesday night?
Probably be a good idea.
Okay. I mean, it's not, we're just rescinding what was done with the sole source.
Well, you asked for other ideas, and probably this month, I've spoken to several different people, and Ricky a few times. Before I say anything, I want to say, first of all, Ricky McCormick, I didn't mean any disrespect to you and how much time and effort you had put into this, not just now, but for the last 4 years. As the mayor said, it was confusing. I think each month something new popped up with it, and prices have changed. So it certainly didn't mean any disrespect. I know you put a lot of time and effort into it. My feelings overall is this: are we getting what the city needs, what the city wants, at the price, the best price we can get? My feelings are, I guess right now, to rescind this and then go back to the drawing board and say, you know, is there something we want for the park? Is there something we want? Can we do something cheaper? Is this something that we totally want? I understand the amount of time we put in. I think there's a benefit to it, but I think there may be a benefit at a cheaper cost to the city as far as would it be opt-in, the phone service or the text service or whatever, but I don't think that's, I'm sure we can do it a lot cheaper than $600,000. I think a siren at the park would make a heck of a lot of sense. Having been there for 10, 11 years, those storms pop up, and you know, it takes everything out of anybody's hands. If it says clear the fields, if it says clear, go to the cars, you do that. There's an awful lot of kids, an awful lot of people at that park at any given time. So.
And also, on the callback, could we start that process with just the callback system? I mean, it's a separate, if I'm understanding it.
It was all pulled into one package because we got a better price deal.
Right.
When you start pulling them back out, the prices are going to go up on each one. But yeah, you could certainly just do one or two or three. You have that option. You can go any route that you want to go. So we could, you could basically start with just a callback service.
And the reason I'm just saying it because we are still trying to figure out with the siren system, it's something that we could implement fairly quickly that would be in our price range that we could pay for. Maybe the first year, because we're going to be going through this, I'd say, for a little while, you know, several months trying to figure this out. So is there something we can look at in the meantime to see if that's going to fix maybe our problem, that what we feel is our problem?
Well, if you remember,
trying to get
when
to
we
reach
first
people.
started this almost 5 years ago, this all started from lightning in the park.
Yep.
And it went from lightning to, we had a tornado touchdown, and then it went from lightning to another warning, and then we got to look at that. So then people know how we would get warning. That went back to a callback service. So then we decided to put it all into one big package because you could get a better price than doing so. So to me, we definitely need to do something at the park
I agree.
with the lightning.
Yeah,
That was what started this to begin with. So if you want to separate these things out, I would just encourage you before the seasons get back around.
We've
for
got to do something.
the summer storms again, that we do something about lightning detection at the park.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we started this with electric at the time, Rick O'Neill was over Box 100, was into the weather, and it actually was wanting the weather system. And we all went to Robertson County
Robertson County.
to look at it.
Could we not just put this at the park and not worry about
Well, that's what,
sticking it all
that's what
over
we're
the
all
city?
discussing, yeah.
And we wouldn't have to pay all that.
What gets me to, I certainly think there's a benefit to it, but you're talking $600,000, and I'll just say it publicly, I'm kind of leery of sticking this board, future boards, with a 9-10 year contract that maybe they're not happy with, as we haven't been with some that maybe we've inherited.
That's so true.
And you know, I think something at the park is definitely, I guess maybe rescind it and let's go back to the drawing board and like Rick said, maybe try to find something that we have in place by next spring.
And I also had a suggestion, I was in a store yesterday, as a matter of fact, where they were discussing some type of shelter. You know, really, we've not worked it out in our emergency plans, shelters for the people that live in the modular homes. So, I mean, we've got several other things that we can add into this and revamp. And like I said, with this, with the rescinding, we've already to that point now, that's no good, so it's kind of like we have to start over anyway.
Right.
Nothing against Rick, but I think we have to find somebody who knows more about the system. If we want to go back and revisit this completely and start from scratch.
Because, I mean, you spent,
He doesn't, I mean, he's
Several.
done all he can do.
and he
He
said,
doesn't, it's not his
mm-mm,
cup of tea.
mm-mm. A lot of long hours.
Right. If you go with just, and talking to Tom today, if you broke this back out and you went, this is just a rough figure now, don't hold me to this. But if we went with just the park, one siren in the park, because you're having to put that same infrastructure in regardless. So your cost is in your infrastructure. It's not necessarily in each individual. You're still gonna be looking at roughly $150,000 to put one in. So just bear that in mind, that
Is that the lightning detector with it or just the?
that would be callback services, the lightning detection and the weather warning all in one for one siren in the park. Because all of the radio infrastructure and all of that, the notification software, the activation points, all of that stuff has to be done, whether we put one in or we put 100 in. Infrastructure is where the cost is incurred at.
The callback service is really the benefit to me. I mean, the sirens, I believe, are definitely would help at the park, clear the park. But I think a callback service where people opt in is the true benefit. I'm just wondering if there's other, I know there's other texting services, callback services that are already out there that we haven't looked at that may be even cheaper than what you're saying that is. And again, we may come back and be no. I don't know if we've looked at that. But again, you know, the thing is we're trying to do what's right for the city. And we're trying to do what's right to be a little proactive here. I don't think this is a negative thing as it's been made to be. However, let's do it right and let's do it, you know, again, I think the park is obviously something that has to be done. But is there something cheaper that we can do where we're not paying $150,000, $200,000 for that infrastructure? I mean, is there something else out there that's cheaper? And I believe that there is. So if we've even gone that route before, I don't know. But
We've never looked at just a lightning service for the park, just the park.
just a callback service.
Right. We did do individual, we did take looks, the LEPC, the Safety Committee and the LEPC both listened to several presentations from callback services. We dealt with Code Red, First Call, and then another company that's even gone out of business at this point. But that was done as a separate project at one point. And then when we brought it all into one project, it drastically lowered the cost when we did that. But we have not looked at lightning detection services and notification just for the park alone. We have not done that.
So we start over, basically.
Floor's still open.
You can start all over, like Tom said.
Mr. Mayor? Anybody else?
I will not look forward to participating in anything from this point on. This is the 5th year running for them, and I doubt very seriously that they will entertain us again. This has been a pretty bad situation from them for about 4.5 years. So they've spent a lot of time, effort. They've sent field survey crews out. As far back as 4 years ago, they've not charged us 1 penny for any of those services. And, you know, for us to go back again, we've rescinded a PO, we've went back and put them to bid, they've come back in and given us the best price for the equipment they were offering bid-wise. So I would just, so that you know, when this is basically killed at this point, I would not look for McCord Engineering to entertain this again.
Rick, once again, thank you. And this is certainly not anything against you. I know the time that you put into it. And
I'm with you. I just want what the citizens deserve to have for early warning and for everything. But to me, in working the parks, lightning is a huge issue, and we definitely need to do something about that. If we don't do anything else, we need to do something about the lightning detection in the park.
Because we've all been sitting up there trying to get them off the fields, and they're like, we don't see lightning, and so that has been a big issue.
And while we are on the subject, just so that the citizens know, we have entertained a lot of different avenues. We didn't just conjure this up and we wanted to do it. and went with it. We've went to Christie Houston for grants, we've put out for grants, we've talked to businesses, we've done everything we can possibly do to get the price down, to get donations, to get grants. We've done everything that we can possibly do to try to cut costs and to get what the citizens deserve for early warning. So I don't know that that's ever been said in any of the meetings that we've had. We've just been throwing big numbers out there, and that's all that the citizens have seen is that, oh, somebody's come up with this idea that we need to do this at $500,000. It's not that at all. We've explored every avenue we could possibly explore. So, you know, we did not feel that it was right when this started with one siren that one section of our town is got early warning in place, and we leave 80% of the city without it. There's no way for us to divide tax money up or anything like that to do one area and not do the whole city. This is an all or nothing, basically. I mean, you're not gonna put a fire hall on one side of I-24 and not provide fire service to the other side of 24. It's the same concept. You're not gonna give warning to one section of town and not give warning to the other. So I just wanted to put those things out there because those things have never been said in an open meeting in this boardroom before. So.
And I just got to follow up with one other thing. There's been a whole lot of misinformation.
It's not just been about sirens and waking people up. There's a lot to the system, so it's definitely a positive thing. It's can we afford it? Is there something cheaper? Is there another way to do it? And also, is it the right time for the city? I mean, again, you're locking a contract over 9-10 years. You know, that's a long time, and maybe something else comes along. Hope that's not me.
I guess the one thing I'd like to point out also in terms of the warning and notification, this being much more than just weather, it's an all hazard siren kind of system. And I fully endorse and support the callback system, the ability to check weather and to get information on your iPad or on your telephone. One of the best services the siren system provides is the unprotected person who doesn't have a phone, is away from that shelter, is out in the open, and they can hear the sirens. So one of those purposes of having the audible siren is to protect them as well. And if we focus on one area, again, like Rick said, we have to bear that in mind. It is one sector of the population, while all of the sector would be paid for, the entire population. So really, it's for the unprotected people without phones, without computers, away from home, is the primary benefit of hearing the siren.
I don't want to beat this up, but again, there's one area of this city where we have a lot of people out. We don't have a municipal golf course. We don't have 15 parks. We have one park, and I think that's where that siren needs to be. To put it in a subdivision somewhere, to me, I mean, people can look at the clouds and see if it's raining, if something bad's coming in. I mean, you would think. You're not going to go out and fly a kite when there's lightning going. So I don't mean any disrespect with it. I'm just saying we have, I think every month, Parks and Rec gets up and talks about 65,000 people went to the park. That to me is where it needs to be, not where there's 20 people, in the backyard somewhere. And that's just my feeling on it. At least right now. I mean, if this is better times and the city's money was better, then I could say, hey, this is what we need to do. But to put it across the city, quite frankly, when people are saying they just don't want it, it's kind of a tough sell.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm not saying any more about it.
No, you're fine. Okay, we're going to move on. Hey, we're going to move on to the consent agenda items. Number A is approved recommendation for city bids and purchases. Is Felicia here?
No, she is not here.
Okay.
She's sick tonight.
State bid pricing, road salt. Who has that? definitely want our share this year, please. Do you remember how much we had last year?
I can't remember the exact tonnage. I know that we lost 25 to 30% of the salt that we purchased last year that are due to not being in a properly covered facility due to rain. So before we do something like that again, definitely need to look at some type of cover and shelter. Steve has already talked a little bit with Greg about that as well. We also had to dispose of some because of some construction that was done, that was improperly done, and there were some items dropped into some of the salt, so there was some salt that had to be dispersed of. So I can't remember the exact tonnage that we had. I know that we ended up mixing a lot of sand with salt towards the end last year just to get through, to get the streets open enough even for emergency services to get through.
Well, that's what I was wanting to make sure that this was enough. It was not fun last year.
We ended up with quite a large amount on the barge for 2 months. That
Oh,
we
yeah,
couldn't get
that we
to,
couldn't get
so.
to, so. You feel comfortable with this?
I do. I think we could probably fashion some temporary storage at the Public Works installation. If not, there may be an idle warehouse on the industrial park that would let us store if we were able to pay a small rental fee. But we're doing that homework now to discover those options.
Any questions? Comments? We were all out in the snow last year, so. All right, B. Approve right-of-way easement with Middle Tennessee Electric Membership Corporation for a proposed anchor relocation for the Hurricane Creek Greenway project on Blakemore Drive. Is you, Kyle?
Mayor, this is an easement for there's a guy wire that we have previously discussed. It's been brought up with the parking spaces that's going to be along Blakemore Drive. There's some guy wires that are in the way. I've spoken to Middle Tennessee Electric, and they are willing to move that anchor location to, there's a power pole. I think you've got some pictures in the slides, but there's a power pole that's at the back of one of the properties. What they'll do is they'll move that anchor location to that back pole to where it's not in the way of the parking. And I think you can see on the cover letter that Middle Tennessee Electric will do it at no charge as long as we're willing to give them the easement. And I think Evan's had this document, and I don't know if you got anything to say about that.
You're okay?
But you can see on the drawing it says remove anchor and then add anchor, so that's kind of what we're talking about.
All right, do we have any questions, comments? Anybody? Okay. We're going to go on and get through the consent agenda, and then I've noticed Mr. Hercules is coming in.
He's here.
So we're going to get through this one, and we'll be right with you, okay? C, approve a grant contract between the State of Tennessee, Department of Military, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, and the City of Laverne for the provision of pass-through funding for the administration and completion of a approved hazard mitigation plan project for the home buyout at 172 Parish Street, Laverne. You have that, Katie?
Board, again, this is the FEMA buyback program that we talked about several months ago. Actually, the homeowner at 172 Parish has decided that they do not want to participate in this program anymore. And we have worked, they came in the day after we actually submitted the application. So we quickly sent TEMA updated lists, and I have not gotten a chance to talk to them about changing that one homeowner to a different property. But since the funds are approved, and their BCA number met. I don't foresee that being a problem. And when I talked to Judy Huff, she didn't foresee that being an issue. So that'll just be something that we'll have to take care of.
And this is phase one.
This is phase one. And if we can get this taken care of, this is the only homeowner that is really interested at this point that has a high enough number to qualify.
Will you
Not-
have the opportunity to talk to them before Tuesday night?
I can do that.
Because, I mean, we really need to know.
Okay.
Katie, did you just go to the next one, the next highest BCA?
Yes.
That's-
Yes.
Okay.
And I can't remember the exact address, but I know that is the Readers.
Yes, that would be the corner of Apple and Taylor.
Mhm.
Okay.
But basically, this is just the first step of going into the contract process with TEMA. I also was going to give you a little bit of information from the packet that I received. Maybe. Basically, our timeline is we've got 6 months to be in this contract process, and from there, we've got till May 24th to finish appraisals, so we've got time. This is not something that absolutely has to be rushed, other than for the peace of mind of the readers, which they desperately want.
Okay, and let's go over what our portion will be. Make sure everybody understands that.
Which, the non-federal share of the project's $32,537, and our portion should be half of that.
Around 16. I think that's what we had discussed when all this started.
It'd be the $16,268.50, and then the state would be picking up that other half.
That would come out of the stormwater fund.
Yes, and that would, everybody to hear that, out of the stormwater?
Which was approved in the budget for this year.
Yes, it sure was. Now, let's also reiterate on the fact too that this is phase one. And because these people opted out and that moved the Ritters to phase one, it's probably lessened our chances to move on to phase two. Where that's,
There was only one other homeowner that was interested, and he has not returned any of my calls. So I've pretty much said, I guess he's not interested anymore, is what I'm taking.
any further discussion? Any further? Thanks, Katie.
You're welcome.
All right, then we have one more. And this is a fabulous one that's actually money coming to us. Accept grant donation from the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. Who wants to take this one? It's the fun one.
Well, I'll take this.
We're very happy about this one.
Yes.
We had a couple of city employees that were eating at Firehouse Subs probably 6-8 months ago, and they were approached by the owner of Firehouse Subs there in Smyrna about a grant process that they have through their business, through their company, through the franchise, and asked if there was anything that we may need for the city to help save lives, provide services to our citizens and things like that. As you know, we've pieced together a unit for the park and for other events that are out in the TWRA property and stuff like that. It's areas that's hard for us to get medical attention out to, or to transport patients back to an ambulance and stuff. So we had put in, we applied for the grant, actually we put the grant in probably less than 3 weeks ago. Was not actually supposed to go through full effect until October the 1st, but we got notification 3 days ago. We had put in for a 6-wheeler with a medical attached unit on it with a cot and all of that for the park and for our outlying TWRA properties and all. And we were notified back that we got a 100% grant for that piece of equipment. So at no cost to the citizens of Laverne whatsoever, we have received through Firehouse Subs a grant for, well, approximately, well, I think the exact numbers there, $16,800.
$16,813 for that piece of equipment, so.
In addition to trailer to haul it.
Right.
Yes.
That's the unit, the utility, medical utility bed for the back, a Furno cot like our EMS service here in the county uses, and the trailer to haul it as well. So that's the entire package, the transport equipment and all.
So everybody, lots of subs.
Yeah.
So everyone make sure you go to Firehouse Subs and eat a sub next week, so.
But that's awesome.
That is
awesome.
great.
And I think
And up to
they
this
may be
point.
here Tuesday night,
That's very possible.
Right.
so.
And even up to this point, we've managed to keep that staff at no
At
cost.
no cost to the citizens.
Right.
They've been
Voluntary
staffing.
people.
We have been able to do that, well, for about 2 years, and here recently, it's been staffed at 100% at no cost to anyone, so. Now we'll have a piece of equipment to do that job even a little bit more efficiently, so.
That's awesome.
And I believe, Rick, you would suggest that the board accept that donation?
I would suggest that. It's the first time I've not had to come up here and ask for even $5, so I would encourage you to please accept it, so.
Thank
That
you.
is wonderful.
That is awesome. Now, I'm going to jump back just a little bit if I may. I'm going to present Mr. Brian Hercules with the United Way, and he has a presentation for us.
Mayor and Aldermen, I appreciate the opportunity to come out tonight and just share with you a little bit. As you know, this is that time of the year where the United Way of Rutherford and Cannon County is very active in the community, raising funds for the nonprofit part of our community. And I thought about this evening what I wanted to share with you, because everybody knows the traditional United Way, we raise money and we allocate money back to the nonprofits. But I was thinking this morning as I sat in my office, I took our allocations process document out and just looked at some of the agencies that are providing services here in the Laverne area as part of the Rutherford County and Cannon County United Way, which are the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts and the Rutherford County Schools Indigent Child Fund, Kids on the Block, STARS working through the school system, Tennessee Poison Control, Nurses for Newborns, Rutherford County Primary Hope Clinic, Child Advocacy, CASA, the Domestic Violence Program, and then the Smyrna Laverne Food Bank. And just looking roughly at the dollars that are being invested back into this community as part of those agencies was over $378,000 last year from the United Way funds back into the county. So I was very proud that we were able to serve those funds back into this community. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is we watch and are looking at what's going on in the economy. Right now, over 93,000 people in our community were touched by United Way agency in Rutherford and Cannon County last year, which means 1 in 3 people. That's a great portion of our community, 1 in 3 people. The other thing I wanted to share with you just very quickly, and I've got some information that I've left with Mr. Lane for you, some of the brochures that outline some of the agencies that we serve. But the other thing that I wanted to share with you is a couple non-traditional role type things that your United Way is engaged in. One is, in just talking about one of the homes with the flood last year, Mr. Mayor, your city manager, and I had the privilege of meeting, working on a long-term recovery committee that was put together through your United Way of Rutherford County and now is a standalone agency working through us. And we actually participated in the rebuilding of 3 homes last year in the Laverne city limits based on the flood damage that was done. I was very proud we were able to do that. The other thing that I have, and I have some of these for you, this doesn't look like much, just holding it up here, but this is actually a discount prescription card that's been made available through United Way with a collaborative that we have with a company called FamilyWise, and this costs absolutely nothing. You can print this off of our website. You can you can pick them up. We're trying to get them into the doctor's offices, the different medical facilities, but this is a discount prescription card for the underinsured or not insured, and FamilyWise has negotiated some discounts that they're offering through the United Way family to any citizen at any time that are underinsured or not insured. And this morning about 5 a.m. I got online to see where we were at in the total savings, and right now through Rutherford and Cannon counties, over $218,000 have been saved by the citizens of our county using this program, and it's a great program at no cost to anyone. So that's something else that's available. The other thing I'm very excited about, we are entering into a collaboration this year with the Greenhouse Ministries, which most of you are familiar with, and we're looking to do remote sites in Laverne and also in Smyrna to offer the VITA site for tax preparation for the disadvantaged income level individuals. Also to help them make sure that they're taking full advantage of the federal income tax credit that's available to them. And on an average, the IRS is telling us that's about a $5,000 to $6,000 tax credit back to these families. A lot of times they're going to some of the predatory type tax places and having these tax preparation done, and they're being charged for that, and then they're being offered maybe same-day loans or something to go ahead and get that money. The federal government, through the IRS and Greenhouse Ministries and Your United Way, we're going to be providing those services at no charge and be working with these citizens starting, we're looking at a target date of January 15th and going through the tax season. We've talked to a couple of churches here in Laverne that are going to open their doors to us on Saturdays. We're going to work through the Greenhouse Ministries Monday through Friday and then do remote type facilities on Saturday. So I'm really excited this year to be able, they told us last year in Rutherford County over 20,000 people were eligible for this tax credit. Only about 2,500 last year actually participated. So you can do the math at an average of $5,000. That's a lot of money that could be coming back into our community and some much needed homes and income. The last thing I share, and I'm always proud to talk about our 211 service. Hopefully your community, I know I know the service is being used, but Your United Way is funding for the end of the state the 211 service for Rutherford and Cannon counties. Last year we spent around $40,000 providing that service. That is the first call for help. Anyone can use that number. It's similar to the 911 and 411 type number, but it's a call that when it comes in through a landline will be recognized in the county that the person's calling from, whether it's an emergency of domestic violence or suicide, all the way to the need for help with groceries or clothing or those kind of things. Once that call is registered into the call center, it pops up the county they're located in, and as they express to that operator what their needs are, they will give them a list of all the different agencies within the community that can provide services to them and render those services. So, you know, we're continually looking for ways to make sure that services are being provided to the community and to the people in need in our community. I just want to say that from the United Way of Rutherford and Cannon County, the continued support we've received from this community, from you, Mayor, and from the city, we appreciate it very much. We hope we can continue to depend on you. And if there's any questions that I can answer about some of the things going on at Your United Way, I'll be happy to do so.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? We want to also thank our employee, Mr. Darrell Lane, who's offered to step up and help in the city-wide United Way drive.
Absolutely.
So thank all of you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and tell you a little bit about what's going on at United Way, Your United Way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move right along. We're going to appoint board and committee members. Tuesday night, we will be filling a position for the Board of Zoning Appeals. And I noticed that we do have 2 applicants. So we will read those. Looks like we've got 2 very good ones to choose from.
Is this a board that requires a female? I mean, we know we had one.
Well, that, you know, that is a good question.
I didn't hear
This is, do we require the,
a female on this board.
That's the planning commission that would require.
I didn't know.
okay, we just want to make sure.
I just want to make sure we're not.
Yeah, that is a very good point, though. Very good point. And I think the library board, we have to, that one has to be balanced. Okay. All right, just review over these. And then also in the planning commission, this is just an FYI, we do have an opening, which will be next meeting. And that's Mr. Charles Parker, and it looks like you've already spoken to Mr. Parker. He does a very good job for the city, so. Okay.
Does the chairman of the other board have a recommendation?
I have not spoken.
We've got 2 of them.
Yeah, and they both look good, so, might just, we'll call the chairman and put it on him. I love having too many on these, that's awesome. We do want to keep a file, so when boards come open that we can fill these. All right. Number 14, first reading, ordinance 2011-28, an ordinance to amend the 2010-2011 fiscal year budget, general fund budget. Okay, Ms. Phyllis, it's back
This
to
is
you.
another cleanup item, the results from our audit. We had underspent in some line items and overspent in some other line items. And the auditors requested that we do another budget amendment. Hopefully this is the last one. They should be done with their field work now, and this is
That's
just
okay.
another cleanup.
They're finished, I think. When will they be back? Are they done here?
They're done with the field work. They'll be back to do a presentation probably in January, late December, early January.
Okay, guys, any questions? Comments? Oh, quiet. Okay, number 15, first reading. Ordinance 2011-29, an ordinance to amend Title 7 of the Laverne Municipal Code by adding fireworks regulations. Mr. Victor?
Mayor, Alderman. Bringing this up, this has been an item that's actually been out of the municipal code for quite some time. It was brought up in 2006 by Assistant Chief McCormick as a discussion item. It was deferred at that time. It was brought up again in 2008 by myself with Assistant Chief McCormick assisting me. I had some help from Mr. Richardson. It got sidelined at that time as well. Title 7 currently is fire protection and fireworks. The only place in Title 7 currently that fireworks is mentioned is in the title, and that's because it's been put off for so long. What I'm attempting to do here is avoid some problems that the fire service has during outside of the season events, like in August when things are extremely dry. We get grass fires, house fires, things of that nature. Also, the police department's had issues in the past where fireworks are being discharged at late hours, and they have to rely on the noise ordinance for that. This is something that's going to put in paper a set time that they can be discharged and set dates they can be discharged. Now, the counter side to that is we have a retailer here in this city that's able to sell year-round if they want to. They do not. They only sell during season. So I added also the ability for the public and not have an impact on that retailer should they ever change their mind. The ability for them to have a special permit to fire outside of the season. Now, they would still be restrained to the same time restraints, which is 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. on normal dates, with the exception of the 4th of July and December 31st, which extends it to 1 a.m. for those two holidays. And it coincides also, this would allow the public, like I said, to get a special permit to discharge up to 2 times per address in a city. So that gives them a chance if family members coming in and they have extra fireworks that they've been waiting, storing up or whatever, they can apply for the permit, and providing there's no, weather conditions that would inhibit that, then they would be able to apply for the permit to be approved, and they would be able to do that. So it's not completely restricting it. It's kind of, I feel like it's balanced. It gives best of both worlds. It also gives law enforcement, fire, the ability to enforce that better. The timelines that I put in coincide with the timelines that temporary tents can be established. That is June 21st, and I've added all the way up to July 7th rather. The zoning ordinance states that they have to come down by July 5th. So that gives them 2 extra days. So if they've purchased 50% off from a fireworks tent, they've still got 2 extra days to discharge, 3 extra days to discharge their fireworks. Again, also December 19th through January 3rd in the zoning ordinance, that's giving them extra time past when the tents are going to be down if they have extra fireworks they want to discharge. That would be the normal discharge season. There's more to the ordinance as well, and that mainly details, display type fireworks, similar to what we have, we had at July 4th, and have had it at the Old Timers Festival, Old Timers Day in the past. So that completely addresses that. It's not changing anything. It's just putting everything into Title VII where it should be.
Because I know it's a lot of information. Y'all are not gonna have time to sit here and read through all of this. But do pay very close attention to all of this. Of course, if you have any questions, you can contact Mr. Mayor or Mr. Woods or Ricky or any of them. Any concerns that you may have of this. I do know this year I had several phone calls regarding the shooting of fireworks. And I mean, it was at crazy times. It wasn't even holiday season. And I'm sure all of y'all have gotten some of the same phone calls. But do read over this very, very carefully between now and Tuesday. And if y'all have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact any of them to get that information.
I'd like to note also, the removal of debris has been added there, so that when they discharge them in the streets, they're required to remove the debris. So it kind of generally addresses all of the issues that we've had, but at the same time is, I believe, fair to the public and the retailer in town, to where, you know, it's not completely restricting it across the board all year long. They're going to have the ability to, you know, have 2 times per address.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't want to affect our businesses here.
Right. And currently, they only sell during the same season that the tents do right now, and it's been that way for years. So, but you know, they could change that because a retailer can sell year round. So.
Okay. All right. Any questions for right now? Did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, no, ma'am. Just does a good job of bringing everything together to affect how the citizens can use and operate fireworks in addition to the manufacturer, sale, distribution, storage, debris created by it, times, dates, places. Puts it all in one document.
Sounds good. Okey-doke. Thank you. All right, let's move on to number 16. This is Resolution 2011-22, a resolution to adopt a debt policy as required by the Tennessee State Funding Board. This is a resolution, Ms. Phyllis.
This is a requirement by the Comptroller's Office and MTAS and everybody else that's involved in our guidelines for running the city, is that we have to have a debt service policy. And we have, Bruce has worked on this and gotten the policy in place so that we're in compliance with the state requirements.
Again, this is quite lengthy, so y'all gonna have a lot of homework to do between now and Tuesday night. Again, as you read, if you have any questions on this prior to Monday or Tuesday, please contact Phyllis, Steve, Bruce. Any of them can hopefully answer any of your questions and make you comfortable for your decision on Tuesday night. Any comments? Y'all ready?
We've already read it all. We're ready to vote, sing it.
Yeah, we do have a lot of homework for this one. Okay. All right, number 17, Resolution 2011-23, a resolution to accept Woodsong subdivision, sections 1, 2, and 3, received an unfavorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on September the 27th, 2011. I'm going to let Kyle tell you why it was an unfavorable recommendation and listen to what he has to say, and we may have some of these issues resolved. I'll let you take over.
Mayor, first of all, I want to say I've got packets for the next 3 items because I know some of you on the board will want to probably go out to these subdivisions. I've put the maps together for you plus the plats. That way you have a paper copy you can take with you and go out to these subdivisions and look. But on Woodsong sections 1, 2, and 3, basically it's been on the Planning Commission for a while now. I mean, it's been many months, but it's not because he's not been trying. He's actually tried to do everything the right way, and he's went through the proper procedure and steps that are needed. Some of the items that it got an unfavorable for was he had 4 items left that he was still working on. Now, I will say that one of the items was as-built plans. He turned those into me at the meeting Tuesday night, but since I did not have a chance to review those, I was not comfortable telling the Planning Commission board that they were okay. I've since reviewed those. The required information is on those. And the only thing I'm lacking now is the AutoCAD and the PDF format, but I believe I've got an email that was sent to me as I was on my way over this evening. So this item will probably get taken care of. The second item was the punch list for the water, sewer, streets, and stormwater, still not totally complete. However, it was pretty much complete. He has since sewer, streets, and stormwater has all stated that everything in their respective areas is okay. The water department has one small item of a valve box lid that is broken that can easily be taken care of by Tuesday night. So that's the second item. The third item is the letter of credit. Basically, the developers are asked whenever the Board of Mayor and Aldermen decides whether or not to accept something, if they choose to accept a subdivision, the developer is asked to continue the letter of credit, but change it over to a maintenance letter, or a letter of credit for the maintenance portion of the improvements for a 1-year time period. He's willing to do this, it costs money every time you get letter of credits, and he does not want to do this until the exact date that the board would be voting on this. Of course, he knows that even if he's got everything addressed, this board may still deny or turn down his acceptance request, but he does not want to continue if he knows there's some items left out there, because item number 4 that I'm fixing to tell you about is what's the big issue, I think. But he does not want to continue to get the letter of credit adjusted and pay that fee without everything being taken care of. The fourth item is the irrevocable dedication form, and that basically gives, and Evan can probably explain this better, but it's something in our subdivision regulations that pretty much whenever the developer gives this over to the city, these improvements, they're basically giving it to us free of liens and anything like of that nature. His attorney has been working with Evan. I don't know how far they have got on this, or if they'll be able to get this done by Tuesday night. But that is why he wanted to go ahead and get it through the Planning Commission, is because he knew that this form is the only thing he had left, pretty much, besides these others, which we knew would get addressed before Tuesday night. And the letter of credit that he has, you know, the quicker that this gets accepted, the quicker that gets done, and the quicker he gets, you know, his money. So, you know, he's on a time, he wants this as quick as possible. So that's kind of why he was pushing the other night, that he didn't want the unfavorable recommendation, but he knew that there's nothing else he could do without pushing off another month, unless he could get, and he felt like he could get everything taken care of by Tuesday night. And I would say that he would like to have been here tonight. However, he does his work schedule. He's got a full-time job also besides being a developer, and he could not get off tonight, and he has specifically taken off next Tuesday just in case. That way he can be here if you have any questions or comments. He figured that it'd be better if he was here Tuesday night as opposed to tonight, due to the fact that he's still trying to work this out with Evan, and by Tuesday night he'll probably be further along. Also, you'll be able to have these maps if you want to go out and look. You may have some questions that you may want to ask him at that time.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions on that one? Okay, after the meeting, if y'all want to get them out.
Yeah,
I'll
pass these out just as soon as we have a breaker after.
All righty. Let's move on now to number 18, which is Resolution 2011-24, a resolution to accept Brookside Subdivision Phase 1 received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on September the 27th, 2011.
Mayor, this is an acceptance of a section of a subdivision that we had to call on the letter of credit, and once that basically takes place, we do not have really anything to hold the developers responsible for at that point, because everything's basically that we could hold against him or try to get money from is done with at that point. And Phyllis always gets on to me every year about the auditor's comment that we have to have this information recorded as that it's the city's property and stuff like that. So I wanted to go ahead and, before the auditors had to make that comment, is go ahead and get Brookside and the next one, Cedar Grove, basically accepted. These are same situations. Both of these are areas that we had to call on letter of credit, which we did. We did get the banks did pay in full, and the improvements as far as these subdivisions where the asphalt topping was installed. There's probably a few minor maintenance improvements or stuff that still are probably lacking on some subdivisions, but that's stuff that the city will take care of as it comes up.
And I believe we voted on this when we voted to accept the letters of credit to turn those in. So that, like I said, that's already been done. Do you have any questions on those? Same thing with the next one, number 19, Resolution 2011-25, a resolution to accept Cedar Grove Estates, Sections 1 and 2, received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on September the 27th, 2011.
Mayor, this is same as the previous one. It's one we've had to call in, so just more formality purposes for the auditors.
And these roads, we've already taken care of the roads with that money as well. Any questions? All right. Number 20. Motion to approve a proposal for engineering services from Griggs and Maloney for the Waldron Road Pumping Station Project. All right, Mr. Beal.
This is a proposal to design and construct a water pump station on Waldron Road on the other side of the interstate. Right now, you have a tank on the other side of the interstate on Sanford Knob that serves roughly 30–40% of the city. There's only one way to fill that tank right now, and that's through a 16-inch water line that goes under the interstate. This past summer, we had a situation which we were able to handle. I'll summarize it for you. Monday morning, one of the water department employees noticed that the Sanford Knob tank was down to about 30% full, which is an uncomfortable level. Generally, over the weekend, the tanks catch up, so to speak, and we can enter Monday morning with the tanks pretty much full. This Monday morning, it was about 30% full, and the water supervisor correctly brought that to everybody's attention. We all met here at the table. I remember the city manager's there and the public works director's there, and the mayor may have been there, I forget. First, it was suspected there was a leak. But we looked at the SCADA system. The plant has real-time data plus historical data that keeps up with the tank levels plus the pumps. And we looked at that data and we determined we probably don't have a leak. There's no indication that there is a leak. It's just that the water customers were using the water faster than it was going into the tank. So the first thing we did, there are several industries on the other side of the interstate that have big irrigation systems. So the water department went over there and turned those off, trying to let the tank catch up. And we let that run for a day or two, and that wasn't enough. And then on Wednesday, I think it was, we went through the system and manipulated some valves and changed some pressure ratings. And by Friday, we were starting to catch back up, and then the following Monday, we were back up to comfortable levels. So if we hadn't been back up to comfortable levels, we were going to have to make a public announcement throughout the whole city, asking the whole city to quit irrigating and washing cars and cut back on water, but we were able to avoid making that announcement. But that shows how critical we were, what a fine line we've got trying to keep that tank over there full. And right now, we're back to normal because the temperature's cooled off and it's been raining. So we're back to normal, and we expect to be back to normal through the rest of the winter. But this summer, it's going to happen again. I mean, the summer of 2012, it's going to happen again. And people got a right to expect water. I mean, that's one of the basic services of the city, and we want to be able to provide them as much water as they want when they want it at a good pressure. So this pump station, what we'll be able to do with this, there's an existing 12-inch line going under the interstate on Waldron Road that's being underutilized. And we can tie into this 12-inch line, and that way we'll have two feeds under the interstate to feed Sanford Knob Tank. And we think that'll do us for the foreseeable future. That project combined with the next project, we think will get us back to where we're caught up, so to speak. This project was in the capital improvements plan, which is included in your packet like this. But we're suggesting that you make one change. Item 6 on this budget was the Waldron Road Pump Station. We originally suggested to put it in the year 2015. We're suggesting that you swap, if you go up there to item 2, phase 1, that was originally year 2012. If we could just swap those 2 items, the money numbers work out pretty good. If we take all those items under number 2 and just drop them down 1 year, everything on this page needs doing, and it needs doing now. But we gotta deal with our money, cash flow as it comes in. So if we make that one change, the cash flow and the budget still works. And we'd really like it to be in service in summer. And if we can get started design, we can get it done. But at the same time, I hope I'm not out of line. We've already made motions to try to get a piece of ground from the Department of Transportation free. The parking right area is a very good location to put this pump station. And if we can get or buy or rent or lease or borrow a piece of ground from Tennessee Department of Transportation in that area, we can get going.
Any questions? Well, moving right along. The next one is a motion to approve a proposal for engineering services from Griggs and Maloney to extend the 24-inch water main from the roundabout on Stones River Road to the water treatment plant.
We've been trying since the year 2000. We've been an 11-year process. Right now, all the water that leaves the water plant goes down an 18-inch line to the Sanders Road tanks. And the water plant can filter 9.8 million gallons a day. With that 18-inch line, we can only pump 3 or 4 million gallons a day through that 18-inch line into the city. So that 18-inch line is a bottleneck. And we've known that for 11 years. We've known it since the year 2000. And in those of you that have been on the board, we've been putting pieces of a 24-inch line in as it's been convenient to the city. When the city widened Mason Road, we put a piece of 24-inch in line there. When the city built Parthenon Boulevard, we put a piece of a 24-inch line there while it was under construction. Walden Road expansion, LoJack is now putting in a 24-inch line down Bain Drive, down Walden Road, under the railroad, and under Mercersburg Road. When they get through, that'll give us a 24-inch line from the tank to the roundabout. And now this is the last piece. If we can go from the roundabout to the plant, that'll give us an 18-inch line this way and a 24-inch line that way, and we should be able to utilize the full capacity of the plant at that time. So we've been doing this in pieces over the years, trying to stay ahead of it, and we're just barely staying ahead of it. And also to make it easier for the cash flow and the rates.
Any questions? Any questions, Mr. Bailey? Okey-doke.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to stay on the water situation. Number 22, motion to approve a 1-year contract extension for the water treatment plant operations agreement with Severn Trent Services. Okay, you may leave that up to Thomas and you, Mr. Mayor.
Fine.
Yes, Mayor, Alderman, what we're presenting this evening is just I guess it's part of the original contract, is a 1-year renewal of our existing services, which includes the water treatment plant, our cross-connection program, and any other things that come along that we can help out with. Like I say, the state of Tennessee likes their operators to have 5 years experience before they become an operator. So we at Severn Trent have been there 4.5 years, I guess you could say, one on our 5th. So we're really starting to learn the system, learn the plant workings, just the operations of the plant, where we can, I'd say we'd be experts at it, but we perform more of our professional services there. And we'd like to extend some of those services out into the system, which we do with the sampling of all our zones of the city each month. It keeps the public works and distribution aware of the water flows and the chlorine distribution of it. And that is what we're presenting tonight.
All right, Thomas, in this agreement, are there any changes
No,
monetarily or anything that we're looking at here?
no. It's just, it would be the same as last year. With all the same services.
Anybody have any questions?
Thomas, there was a rebate.
Yeah, we did replace one of our operators, which was considered as a lead operator, not kind of stepped in that position, and we hired our administrative assistant, which I guess kind of reflected back on about a $16,000 rebate over the term that the terminated employee was for this contract year that we're in now. So that's on it'll be a partial catching up for the rebate on this next invoice, and then the remaining 4 invoices for the rest of the contract year.
I like rebates.
And through the introduction in the application of the filter system, we've been able to save quite a bit of money on the reuse of water that previously was being wasted down the sewer system. It's now being reutilized, and the savings about, we're estimating about $60,000.
I would say so.
And also their cross-connection program brings in revenues of about $24,000 a year. And they're asking for an extension of a year.
Any questions?
No, I just, Thomas, it's been very evident the effort that your company's put in, and just want to thank you. And it's obvious you want to be a partner long-term with the city. So thank you for the tour the other day. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a job I enjoy.
Any other questions? Thanks, Thomas. All right, number 23. This is a discussion, a proposal to participate in the town of Smyrna's Care Here Clinic. And I'm pretty excited about this, and you can tell he is too. He's already run up here.
Yeah, I have. It's either that or the fact that we're taping live. I'm just excited. I am, quite honestly, I was given one of the challenges about 16, 17 months ago when I started to look at alternative solutions to reduce overall health care costs. Bob Shoup, who is with me here, Bob serves as the city's consultant for health care plans, and he's not affiliated with, on the health care side, with any other plans. We sit down and we talk about things about how do we negotiate, where do we go, do we stay, do we go, do we rebid, what's best for the city, and looking at the activities. One of the things that we talked about is that, is there a solution that will reduce our overall health costs? In order for us to have a Care Here clinic or on-site clinic, one, we would have to have space, which we don't have. Likely the most neutral place would be City Hall, and we looked at that, and the best place to have that space would be my office, which, because it requires both the internal and external window, and there's some HIPAA issues involved, and as much as I love the city, I wasn't willing to do that yet. So for that cost, and then the cost of that in addition to setup fees. Well, because of changes in the county and some of the other things, we have a great opportunity to partner with the town of Smyrna and to utilize their existing facility, which would prevent some tremendous cost savings for the city, and on average allow us to utilize some of the quick care services that are just amazing. I could set up an appointment and go and set it up and not waste a lot of time, do that from work, go up, see a doctor, get in and out within a lunch break, and at a much reduced cost, cost in prescription medicine, et cetera. And I'll let Bob share some of the figures with you, and their guests here also. Jeremy Shoup is here, Chris Murphy is here, and Andy White here to also answer questions. You all know that when I come, I bring a party with me.
Mayor, Aldermen, staff, good evening. We've been working on this project now for over 3 years, I think. And this unique opportunity has arisen here that really makes this possible to be a home run. And I'd like you to keep one figure in mind, not just tonight, but going forward. If you take all the health care that's spent in this country, 70% of it is on chronic care. 70%. That ought to tell us that if we want to cure our health care cost problem, that's probably where we should be centering our attention. And that's exactly what this program does. It starts out as primary care, acute care, but folks quickly learn that this is a place that if they have an ongoing chronic condition, this is a place they can get that at a convenience and a cost that's affordable to them, to the employer, to everyone else. And that's why it's been so dramatically successful. You don't have to pick up a paper very often to read where employers all across this country have finally figured this out, and they're moving in this direction. So what we have, the opportunity that Laverne has, is there is capacity being opened up at Smyrna, and they would like to continue to run their clinic 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. But to do that, they're going to have to partner with someone. And I suggested to them, they're also one of our clients, have been for a number of years, like you folks. I suggested that you folks might be the candidate to do that. There's 3 things to address here, and I'm going to do it very quickly. You should have somewhere in your paper, not the one you were just handed, but we also passed out what's called an interlocal agreement that would have to be signed between the 2 cities for the use of the clinic. And then there is another agreement, which would be the actual agreement Laverne would sign with Care Here, LLC, in the operation of the clinic. Now, I believe your attorney has reviewed the interlocal.
No, the agreement you've got for you tonight was emailed to me by the Smyrna Town attorney, but the email from the Smyrna Town attorney told me that the version he was sending me had not even been approved by Smyrna yet, and that he may make changes to that. So what you've got in front of you is not even necessarily Smyrna's final agreement. So I don't know if you've been in contact with him or...
Yes, I talked to Jeff Craig today.
Well, no, Jeff Peach is the town attorney.
Right, but they had talked.
Okay.
I try not to go around protocol.
Sure.
What you have in front of you is what I believe is being presented to Smyrna tonight. They also have a workshop. I don't think they vote until the 11th, I think, of October. So there's time, if there's something in there by next Tuesday that we need to change, and we will know probably also after tonight what, if any, changes, and we don't anticipate there will be any from what you have in front of you. There was one small change that's not in the document that you gave that doesn't materially change it. It's a reference to an exhibit of the language that's already in there, and I think when you get a chance to see that, you'll see it doesn't materially change what you're looking at. But the thing about the interlocal agreement is this. By your using their facility, Laverne does not have to build a clinic. You do not have to supply a clinic. A lot of upfront costs are involved to get that started. That's already in place. So what they have done, Care Here has looked at, I've looked at, and actually their numbers are a little lower than what I thought they would be. Smyrna is coming back and saying, since you don't have a clinic, we have to pay the doctors, we have to have the facility, we have to keep it up, we have to supply it, we have to do all of that. So what we're asking is that on a per visit basis, that Care Here will calculate how many visits are in a month, and then they will bill the city of Laverne at $65 a visit. Now, if you go back and the sheet that you was handed out, we're in looking at your normal program. Visits of this type are running about $200 on average, and we're saying that the trend on that is actually going to be about $206 next year. So what I've done on this single piece of paper is to break all this down to a per visit cost, and then subtracted that away from what the cost would be through your normal plan. and what the savings would wind up being in doing that. So there's the piece that you would pay to Laverne per visit for the use of that clinic, which covers all of those costs that you would normally be billed for if you had your own standalone clinic. And then the regular administration fee to Care Here of $23 added to that. All those numbers are in here, broken out. And this, unfortunately, it's not on this piece of paper. If you'd like to write it on there, this is calculated on an estimate of 1,176 visits is what this per visit is calculated on. It is there. I'm sorry, over under the annual column. Thank you. It is there. That is what those are calculated on. And then there was also a report given to staff from Care Here about the actual 3-year projection of savings for installing the clinic. And that comes to approximately $1,162,000 over 3 years. That's just the savings from having the clinic in place. Now, on the bottom of the sheet, the thing I want to point out to you, the purpose of the clinic is to lower costs. You lower costs by having less claims. You don't lower costs by finding cheaper insurance. That doesn't happen anymore. Your health care costs, especially since you're self-funded, is based on what your claims are. That's the largest part of what you're actually doing. What are you paying doctors, hospitals, and drug companies? So what we want to do through management of chronic care, finding out folks that don't even maybe know they're diabetic or have hypertension or cholesterol problems, find that out now and then provide a means that we can have professional people to work with them in a convenient way, a cost-effective way, and keep them from getting their disease to a point where it gets into large dollars, heart attacks and things that cost your plan a lot of dollars. If we can do that, and we have done it with several of our clients in Middle Tennessee, there's a thing called trend, which you could also call inflation, medical inflation. What is that? In other words, what did it cost you last year versus what it cost you the next year? That difference, the trend. Nationally, that's been as high as 14% or more. It's come down over the last couple of years. And if it's trending at 9%, which is not unheard of, at the bottom, what we're telling you is that over a 10-year period, we're showing you what the cost would be and the compounded savings over 10 years to this plan by reducing the trend from 9% to 2% is $7 million. That's a lot of money. And that is not unrealistic. And I've got other clients you can call and they can tell you about it. This is a way to lower health care costs and not shift them. It's a way that's proven that it can do that, and that's what we're after on your health plan, is to get that done. And this is a vehicle and a unique opportunity to get in this. Later, 2-3 years down the line, you say, you know what, we want our own clinic. We don't want to do that anymore. We can plan on that. You can budget for it. We can figure out where to put it, how to do it, how to build it, and build it in, and then terminate this agreement with Smyrna and have your own facility. But this is a great way to get started. Are there any questions about any of this or any the literature you were given?
I do. I have a question, which I've been on board and we've really been wanting something like this. And I'm just asking to find out what the differences are. Okay, we're talking about this clinic in Smyrna. Well, we have a walk-in clinic here in Laverne. So what is our cost-saving analysis for us possibly working out a deal with the walk-in clinic here as opposed to going with this solution? See what I'm saying? What's have we ever checked out the savings on there?
We have had other clients that have investigated that. and the clinics, they've looked at it on the pharmacy side, and none of these folks have ever been able to come back and say they could touch what this plan's doing. For instance, on the medication, they're buying the medication direct, no markup to you. It's whatever they pay for it, that's what you pay for it. Care Here doesn't get a 10% markup or whatever. So what they'll do is work with your claims payer, HCS, and get a list of drugs. They'll look at that list and determine what can, on that list, can we purchase for less than you'd pay for it if you used your card at the local pharmacy. And that's the drugs that they will stock, ones they know they can save money on. And this also is a great opportunity. You hear about generics. This is a great opportunity to help move people and educate people to generic drugs because of the clinic. I mean, you're spending 20 minutes with your doctor. You got a 2 to 5 minute wait when you get there. And you have opportunity to discuss these things with your physician. And they can explain better why that would work and why not try it. The other piece is if they got a copay on one of these medications, that medication prepackaged is given to that employee when they leave. There is no cost to them. So the copays they've been paying, they put in their pocket. So it's a great savings there. Why can they do that? Because in a lot of cases, many of these drugs are significantly less than what you're paying for them right now through your plan, through CVS and Walgreens and local stores. So that's where those savings come from. But what we call a retail doctor's office has got staff, overhead, everything that they're trying to do. They're trying to overcome the push down that they're being paid on Medicare and a lot of other things. So those prices have to stay up here. They just simply can't afford to do this. Care Here contracts with the doctors on an hourly rate. That's how they're paid or negotiated with them. So all these are fixed costs. The difference between, the biggest difference between this program and even the other one you have, the one you have now on the rest of your medical, is that this is totally transparent. You know where every dollar is going in this plan. If you go to your other plan, and is it in the network, out of the network, what's the hospital's discount, what's the doctor's discount, a lot of that is a lot of games. And the employer cannot see that. That's proprietary information. They will not show that to you. But in this plan, none of that exists. It's straight across the board. You see the bill, you know what gets paid. And that's comforting.
And I can give you a couple examples. One of them on average, based on what we spend in dollars, is that average cost of about $200 currently versus the $65 between that. And that's not to say, depending on who you see and what you see at this clinic. I've met with the owner there and looked at ways to partner, and there are some ways, some things that we can do. I can give you a personal example where my oldest daughter had to go and emergency clinic, that same type of setup, and we spent a little bit over $200 plus prescription on things that we could do. One of the opportunities as we talk about reducing costs is how do we do that for us when you talk about generics alone through June of this year, and the quarter just ended, so I don't have September numbers. We've had, our biggest prescription dollars were paid for 31 different drugs, and the city of Vergne and our employees uses good drugs. There's nothing that those are numbers off, but prescription costs are high. Of those 31 top drugs, only 4 were generics on the education piece, where we may have opportunities. Some of that will change as the industry has changed, like Lipitor has been a brand now, as a recent changes in the industry will become a generic drug. So that's our number 4. So we'll be able to go from 4 to 5, but hopefully we'll be able to see those numbers shift as well, which should have should impact the dollars favorably. So we're just trying to change the course of education, and when they use it, when is the good fit, when is it not for that. But on average, it's just cheaper to go there.
Well, I'm all for this. But my question is, why did the county drop out of this?
From what I talked to the county about that, they are much larger than we are. I think that they're using a program similar to Walgreens, according to the information I got. They were able to, Walgreens played a dollars game with them based on their numbers, and they were able to get a better fit. There may have been some other things that I'm not privy to that occurred, but that's what I heard. That's what I was told.
Right, they didn't drop out of clinics, they just changed.
Dropped out of this program.
Right, and that's what we understand as well, that they're very large, and there's things that happen.
I was a skeptic. I have friends that teach in Rutherford County, and my closest friends in understanding that, and what I found from the research on that side of it is that, quite honestly, they really, really love the clinic, and they really love the health assessment, and I had a couple examples where some things were discovered that they didn't know. The biggest drawback that they had for the particular clinic that they used is that you had to, if you wanted to get in, you had to make sure you utilized it, and you went on to the computer and did that, so because the use and the demand was so great. So it was popular for them.
Question?
Ms. Shoup, thanks for being here tonight. When one of our employees decides they require some kind of medical care, can you speak to their access and availability and how they go about getting an appointment?
Sure.
Days a week?
This entire plan uses electronic medical records. It's a totally paperless system. So that takes care of the privacy issue, but it also involves the appointment calendar and how that's done. Every employee is shown how to set up an account on the internet, and once that account's set up after about 10 seconds, once they get into the system, in about 10 seconds they can schedule their own appointment with the doctor that they know that's there. A lot of them get to know which doctor they want to use, and they'll use those appointment times. So that appointment is set up online. Now, if they don't want to use a computer, there's also an 800 number. They can pick up the phone and somebody will do it for them. But we've found that really a lot of folks do use that system. And I guess what we found out is their children use it for them. You know, they may not use computers, but somebody at the house knows how to do that. And so they take care of it for them. Now, one thing I do want to emphasize, and this is important, this is not a walk-in clinic. There's no way that you can be as productive with this if it's a walk-in, for this reason. If they schedule appointments every 20 minutes and they've only got a 2-minute wait, in other words, you're in, you're out, in 20 minutes the next person comes in. There is no sitting in a room and waiting for a half hour to see the doctor. But if someone just walks through the door and says, I've got a cold or I need to see the doctor, how are they going to do that and keep that schedule going? So here's two things that can happen. The first one is that they try to work someone in. They can call and say, I really need to see the doctor, and they can look around and see, well, we've got this person coming in at 10 o'clock for nothing but a blood draw, and that's not going to take any resources. So could you come in then? And we'll see you at that same time that we're doing. So they will try to work them in, but they can't just show up at the doctor's office. The second option is obvious, and that's to do what they would always do, go to a walk-in clinic or wherever they would normally go to get that done. But we've had the satisfaction surveys that are taken are phenomenal of how well this is accepted by employees once they understand it and learn it and see what it's doing for them and their health, because it's truly there to help. It truly is.
Any further questions?
Mayor, one other thing that did come up in the conversation, questions, and I just want to clarify it. In that contract, there is a non-usage verbiage. Now, what that refers to is appointments that were scheduled and not used. we just didn't have enough people that needed help. So you've got maybe some appointments in a month, or actually they look at it weekly, but at the end of the month, we had X appointments that were not used. Well, Smyrna's paying for that to sit there, for the staff and doctor to sit there with no patients. So we had to, they are suggesting how they cover that is that Care Here at the end of the month will determine the percentage of usage by each town and city. And based on that percentage of usage, they will take that percent of the non-used appointments for Laverne times 65, because that's what you're paying for a visit. And then you would pay that 40% of that non-used portion at $65 per whichever appointments those are. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say there were 10, and let's say that Smyrna used 60% of the appointments that month, you all used 40, which is pretty realistic. So you have a 40% liability there, and let's say there were 10 appointments that were not used. So then Smyrna would pay for 6 of those, you would pay for 4 of them. And at $65, I worked that out somewhere, it's $260-something. Now, Care Here is charged with making sure that doesn't happen to a large extent, because they do adjust those schedules based on flu season, other things, to try to keep that at a very nominal place. But I just wanted you to know how that would work in the agreement. So that's the other charge that's in there.
Is there a fee for the employees if they make an appointment and don't show up?
That's up to you. I've got some employers who have started to do that. They'll charge, say, $25. If you make an appointment, you don't show up, your check is debited $25. Because it is an expense to you. If they make that appointment and, you know, you got to pay it. So it does cut down on folks that don't show up.
All your dentists and doctors do that, unless you have a really good excuse.
Right.
I'm curious, I have a question. Can you turn over things like random drug screens and physicals and flu shots into your service?
Yes.
That's a good question.
We can, we're doing that in other places. It can even escalate into the work comp side, management of work comp claims and those kinds of things, because those are that staff is yours to help manage those kinds of things. So yes, all those services are available to be built into this system. They will also do health fairs, come here on site on a special occasion to have health fairs. The programs that they have available for smoking cessation, for obesity, for cholesterol, for diabetes, all of those things online with health coaches, all that's included. Those aren't extra bells and whistles. That's the effort that this organization takes to help manage your chronic diseases, because that's the only way we can get the cost down. And to do that, we've got to get the employee to participate. The way you do that is to make it very convenient, and everything that happens inside that clinic arena is free to them. It's not free, but it's free to them. So there's no cost, and it's very convenient.
My question, you have your doctor that you've had for years that you go to for your physical. Do they do physicals and everything?
Yes. Yes.
But if you don't want to change, it's not.
You don't have to.
Okay.
That's a very good question. This does not replace what you have. That it's a choice that the employee and their dependent makes if they use it or don't use it. They can still go to their doctor, ever how they've been doing it, and pay their deductibles and whatever they've been doing in the health plan. None of that changes. The second important point is that this program and your program through Health Cost Solutions are totally separate. They don't touch. Health Cost Solution doesn't process these claims. They're totally apart. That's good. Because let's say a year from now, you say, you know what, that sounded really good at the time, but we don't want to do this anymore. You just shut it off. Nothing changed. Your health plan didn't change. None of that changed. The only thing that would change was they now don't have the opportunity to go to that clinic. And you just cut that off. So they're totally separate. The other piece of it, all those claims that would normally go into your health cost solution are not going there. So guess who don't see them? Your underwriters when they're working up your rates. It makes your plan look better over here, and we're now even starting to get discounts from the reinsurers and the third-party administrators because they realize, the TPA realizes we're not processing 1,100 claims that we did last year. So we need to give them a discount off what we've been charging them. Same for the reinsurer. They're starting to see the catastrophic claims that they get involved in come way down, like we've done in Sumner County. We've, in fact, done so good up there, we've quit buying reinsurance completely. We just saved them $450,000 in premium because they didn't need that anymore. So, I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me, what's wrong with this program? Tell me something bad about it. I'm struggling. I really am. And I've been doing this now for 7 years with these folks. So Care Here was the first company to come into this area to work with small employers like yourself. CHD Meridian used to work with Nissan and some huge outfits. But at the time when they came in and established this program, I saw it by accident one day and got more information on it, and I actually went to, at the time, Rutherford County. I was involved in that initially, Sumner County, Wilson County Board of Education, and staked our 42-year reputation on it and said, you know what, this is new, but from what I see, I finally think we've got a way to lower costs. And none of them have fired me. So I guess it worked. So I just encourage you to really consider this program. What it would require is a vote to approve the Care Here relationship and the relationship with you in Smyrna based on this agreement. And past that, we would work with Care Here to get them in here in education, meetings with your employees to understand how it works and so forth, and get that moving. It starts off a little slow, but when employees start understanding what it is, they start talking and they start telling other people. And after that, you don't need any promotion. It just kind of takes care of itself.
It is great. I've used it.
Until
you get to people using it, it's not really, like you said, it's slow.
Right.
But once you get them started, they love it.
Yeah. Once they hear about it from someone they trust.
I mean, it's really 3 minutes. You can have the appointment made. There you go.
Right.
Any more comments? Questions?
I can mention too that I also spent 3 years as an occasional customer through the county system, and generally had a same day or next day appointment. It was my first choice for care. Very efficient, and they're real doctors.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's going to be you two staying at the podium.
I just want-
Discussion to renegotiate the Cigna PPO group health plan for 2012.
Honorable Mayor, I just want a clarification on the last point. Is Bob's time committed to my time? You all seem to hold that against me when I'm up here too long. No. We wanted to talk about just let the board get approval from the board and et cetera, to enter into discussions with Cigna. One of the other ways that we see, and we're already seeing a reduction in costs and stuff, is through our commitment and our involvement with the Sigma PPO this year. We saw some tremendous savings through June. We shared at the town hall meeting. We think those numbers are going to continue to reflect that. If we're on course throughout the rest of the year, if we stay on course where we're at, we're probably going to see a reduction in claim dollars to some 250,000. We see that number being between 200 and 250,000 based on size, synergy, having a larger network, being able to better negotiate, the discounts and claims. We see a greater utilization of the in-network expense, 93, 94% compared to high 80s last year. That presents significant dollars as well. We see, Bob talked about the reinsurance program. Although we have some numbers and a couple of high numbers, we're going to see, we believe we're going to see a savings there of about $500,000 there. So that's the thought process if the numbers hold up until the next couple of months, until the end. So this year versus last year and in previous years, we see the pendulum swinging in our favor. So we think that the way to go is to renegotiate the current Cigna PPO. As most of you know, I've just come back from attending a conference, and one of the healthcare section and one of the trends across the nation that affected city, local government, that's who was there at that conference, is where cities have jumped too soon and hoping to, with the rise in healthcare costs, to save 1 or 2 or 3%, and in the end get trapped in higher costs, higher premiums, et cetera. One of the takeaways that I took was, unless we can show some significant savings, it would not be in our best interest to just drop a provider that we just started on January 1 with the numbers that we have and go and look and expect somebody else to provide a better cost. So that's why we would like to renegotiate our contract with Cigna and impact the numbers and continue to do that. And we think that we can tell an even better story with the Cigna contract in addition to what we may do with Care Here.
I had a couple things. I've been talking to Health Cost Solutions, who pays your claims and secures the reinsurance. I've got a verbal commitment from them, although we've got a couple of high dollar claims, that there will be no lasers on this renewal. And for those, just to reiterate again, a laser, as everybody say, has $40,000 specific, but that person, because of a condition, may have a $200,000 deductible. Well, that's another $160,000 liability to you. I've been given a verbal that that will not happen. There will not be a laser, and that the access fee for the Cigna network is going to go down. So it's all good news. So based on all of that, I would concur that this is probably a good year to negotiate what we've got. Let's get another year under our belt with this new network, and then see what might be better to do in the following year.
Any questions?
I have one question. Who's your HR guy?
Sit down, Fred. Thank y'all very much. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here. And number 25, discussion, motion to adopt the TDOT Local Government Guidelines, Form 1 through 2, entitled Consultant Selection Policy for Projects Funded in Whole or in Part with the funds provided by the Federal Highway Administration or the Tennessee Department of Transportation. Mr. Brown.
Mayor and Board, this is something we need to do for the Safe Routes to School project. The local government guidelines for the management of federal and state funded projects, you have to follow these guidelines. And in the guidelines, there is a consultant selection. Basically, it's a policy, and that's what this form is. You have to follow that policy. And in the guidelines, it says not only do you got to follow the policy, but the local government shall formally adopt the policy through board or council, and they have to show proof of that adoption if, you know, like in the future if we're audited or something like that. And I would probably say it's just better if we do adopt this, or once it gets adopted, just go ahead and probably send that to the state so they'll have it on file that we did adopt this. But it's a policy that we, from my conversation with state, that we have to go through to get any state or federal funded projects. It's just something we have to do. I think Evan's probably seen the document. It's the 14-page document. It's a state made-up document that basically tells you exact steps and procedures on how you need to go about selecting a consultant anytime you're getting federal or state money.
Again, this is some more bedtime reading between now and Tuesday. But there again, when you're dealing with federal and state monies, you pretty much, if they say this is what you're going to sign, if you want it, you're going to sign it. But please read this. If you have any questions, again, you know who to contact. I'm sorry? Yeah.
Contact Steve.
That's right.
I would like to add too that you may ask why we've not done this before. If you look on the form, it says February 1st, 2011, and the local government guidelines has been updated in February of 2011. So this is pretty much the first project we've had since the selection process and stuff since we've done this.
They like to change the rules. But please do read over this. And if you have any questions, like I said, you can let Steve know or have them prepared for Tuesday night. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Okay, we've made it through all 25. Alderman Green, you have any comments?
I'm too cold to talk. I can't even think, it's so cold in here. No, not really.
Vice Mayor?
Thank everybody for coming out for Old Timers Day. It was great.
It was great.
That's it.
Alderman Broker?
Right along the same lines, I want to thank everyone for coming out, but I also want to thank all the city employees for all their work that they did, and also probably more so their support. I think it was key to the success. I think we talked about maybe 10,000 going through the gates over the weekend, so huge success, and thank you again. So.
I've got to say the same thing. Everybody, fantastic job. It was a blast. I know Kathy, she has a few more gray hairs. Steve has a few more gray hairs. But everybody was great. I think it was a blast. I cannot tell you the people that came up to me telling me it was the most fun they had ever had at Old Timers. And we had a real good time Sunday with your church, the little group that sang, what the Hillbilly?
The gospel singers.
Yes, oh my gosh, I love that. It was awesome. The Wanna Beatles was great. Everybody, thank you. Thank you, thank you. You're an awesome crew here in Laverne, and we really do appreciate you. Mr. Mayor.
A couple quick items. Their thoughts go out to Chief Walker. His father is got a urinary tract infection, a little bit of pneumonia, suffering through some difficulties, and he's starting to feel a little bit better. Last call we got, so we still need to think about him. Victor's father's having some difficulties as well, in and out of the hospital, so I'd like some thoughts go to him. And other than that, we just had a wonderful Old Timers Festival, and that's all I heard. Time and time again, it was best ever. And we, on behalf of the city, we'd like to thank the support of the board for being able to help put on such a fine festival.
Thank you.
Oh, I'd like to say Ricky Quinn, I saw him this morning. He looks good, but we still need to keep Ricky in our prayers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other comments? I will call this workshop adjourned.
Oh, I'm going.